The role of the ascendant transmutation of the mind in the evolution of the sacred substances. The life's powers, the life and the death are all within the body. If the life's powers of chi and of blood are fostered, the flesh body gets longer life. If the life's power of electric is developed, then the electric body lasts longer. And if the life's power of the light is nourished, its life's power will be equal to the life, and the light body persists. In other words, to nourish the longevity of the flesh body, one should nourish chi and blood. To increase the life of the electric body, one must grow human electric energy, and to reach the perpetual life, one must try to live with the light. The life duration of the flesh body is short. The life's existence of the electric body is longer. The light body acquires an extremely long life. The difference in the durations of life of these bodies in man results from the catalysis by the light and depends on the growth of the life. When the light of the mind is equal to the cosmic light, meaning when the mind becomes the super mind, there is no more change in nature, state, and shape. The light evolves itself. To an average person, when the intelligence acquires completely the two functions of knowing and understanding, the light of the mind is capable of catalyzing onto the three other sacred substances, namely liquid, chi, and electric, and transmuting them. Man can control the sacred substances in his body. He himself has the capability to further prolong his life's powers or the life in his fresh body. When man can perceive directly the life's powers of the flesh body, he is able to see through the true animation of chi and blood. Moreover, he can conduct his light of mind to catalyze onto those life's powers to enjoy good health and longevity. But if he is unable to lead those animations, he cannot foster the life's powers and the life. The common phenomena of chi and blood that shorten one's lifespan are strong and fast heartbeats when there is no catalyzing effect of the light of the mind. Strong and fast heartbeats are among the causes for poor eyesight, dazzles, inner injuries, and sudden death. Strong and fast heartbeats are caused by foods and drinks that contain stimulants such as leaven, alcohol, coffee, tea, or by psychological reactions such as strong feelings, anger, displeasure, fear, deep distress, terror, panic, overexcitement, etc., or by exhaustion and tiredness from excessive movements in sports or in very intense physical activities. The above-mentioned phenomena exert influence onto the heart and weaken it even though the flesh body is still at young age. To preserve sound physical conditions and longevity, or to keep oneself safe from the psychological disease-causing agents, one should let the observing mind direct the rhythm of one's breaths and heartbeats, making them slow and regular. That means the observation of and control by the mind over the animations of chi and blood creates a catalyzing effect by the light of the mind onto chi and blood. Thanks to the catalysis by the light of the mind, parts of the yang qi of exhalation can transmute into yin electric. Thanks to the ascendant transmutation caused by the catalysis by the light of the mind, the nervous system, the chi and electric vessels, maintaining a good circulation of blood and strengthen the muscles or eliminating muscular pains. The most important phenomenon of the ascendant transmutation through the catalysis by the light of the mind onto the other sacred substances is the transmutation of body. The transmutation has two ways, involuntary and voluntary. The involuntary transmutation occurs generally in all creatures. This is the natural ascendant transmutation in the flesh body in the formation process of different types of bodies. But in this involuntary way, there is no evolution like when the mind intentionally catalyzes to create other bodies at will. The voluntary transmutation is the evolution processed by one's will in order to constitute the target body. The mind directs the voluntary transmutation by conducting the light of the mind to catalyze onto the sacred substances. The mind leads the suspension of the circuit of yang and yin of the sacred substances related to the corresponding bodies. In other words, it conducts the life's power of a sacred substance to a perfectly static state when the life's power of the sacred substance transmutes ascendantly. When the life's power reaches the perfectly static state, the ascendant transmutation happens. The life's power transmutes, the transmutation of body takes place. That means one kind of body changes into another. For instance, liquid body changes to chi body changes to electric body. When a transmutation of body happens, the divine cause, the divine mechanism, and the divine energy related to that kind of body come into presence and can be used by the supermind or the supermind. Footnote: the geniuses employ the cause, the mechanism, and the energy of their electric body to evolve mankind. The three elements, the cause, the mechanism, the energy, belong to the supernatural world, and the geniuses directly perceive them from the small supernatural world in their body. End of footnotes. The transmutation of body can only be realized in the small cosmos. Below are the phenomena related to the activities of the sacred substances, sensations, feelings, and thoughts, and the invisible organs in the small cosmos. When there is no sensation, the life's power of blood is in a perfectly static state from which the chi body appears. It gets its cause, mechanism, and energy, all of which animate in accordance with the activities of the chi body. When there are no sensations and feelings, the life's powers of chi is in a perfect static state from which the electric body emerges, or the electric body comes forth from the genuine heart. When there are no sensation, feelings, memory, and thoughts, the life's power of the electric body is in a perfectly static state from which the light body appears, and the unique sacred sense organ starts operating. With a full range of vision of 360 degrees, the supermind comprehends instantly and thoroughly the original cause of the cosmos, or from the purest mind, the light body spreads out. In the great cosmos, the ascendant transmutation of one substance to another happens all the time. Likewise, the transmutation of body happens in the small cosmos. The most efficacious effect of the catalysis by the light onto other substances comes from the purest mind. Being completely free from the elements of space and time, the light in the purest mind effects the ascendant transmutation in its catalysis. Without time means there is no remembrance of the past, no thought about the future, and no observation concerning to sensations, feelings, and thoughts that are connected to the flesh body when the catalyzing effect of the light of the mind happens. For that reason, the observing mind is only the awareness of the life's powers and the invisible animation of the life. Although the flesh body exists, it seems not to. Even the definite real locations of space give the impression of being void. Take the example of the catalyzing effect of the light of the mind onto qi in the flesh body. Although the two substances have life powers and the life, they are invisible, and as such, they have no elements of space and time. Only when being free from space and time, the catalysis can effect an ascendant transmutation. Without space and time in the catalyzing effect of the light onto the other sacred substances, the flesh body maintains the qualities of youth during the time that the catalysis happens. Footnote: in the catalyzing effect of the light, or in case of the radiation of the light of the mind to become the super-supermind, the life powers of electric, qi, and blood are in a perfectly static state. At that moment, the heart stops breathing, the lungs no longer breathe. However, electric and qi still pass through the skin. The life concentrates onto the brain. The person is still alive, but family members do not understand this abnormal case and may mistakenly bury the living person. The so-called corpse, when found many years later, remains young because there are no space and time to the person, who is just in a normal sleep that has lasted long. End of footnote. The light of the mind can transmute the other sacred substances in one's body, and can also transmute and regulate the sacred substances in patient's body. Except for some diseases caused by viruses, the illnesses caused by disorder or extreme fluctuation of sacred substances that perturb the circuits of liquid, qi, electric, and light can be cured by the catalysis of the light. To regulate the sacred substances in patients is to heal them by sending inner powers and energy to the patient through the vital point on top of his head or from a distance. To recover the health of a patient from a distance, the curer must have obtained the super-supermind. The heart in void state can remove diseases from the flesh body, which is based on the animation of qi and blood. In the void state of the heart, human electric gathers, then the genuine thoughts conduct the electric energy to regulate the motion of qi. Once the motion of qi has been re-established and functions normally, the circulation of blood is stabilized. When the blood is maintained in equilibrium, it contains pure qi. Therefore, the blood is redder and its resistance is better. Thus, the health of the patient is automatically recovered. The void mind, the purest mind, free from sensations, feelings, and thoughts, can cure illnesses of the heart related to the brain and the nervous system. Footnote: psychologically, strong feelings are the disease-causing agents, causing disturbances and disorder to the currents of human electric and the light strength. The illnesses not caused by microbes are more serious and dangerous than those that affect the flesh body in qi and blood. End of footnote. In the void state of the mind, the scattering light throughout the whole body gathers to regulate and reinforce the electric power of the patient. Once human electric is restored, it normalizes qi currents, and the resultant regular movement of qi brings the circulation of blood back to its proper functioning. The super-supermind can cure illnesses of the mind, those in the brain. The cosmic light gathers in the brain. The supernatural character of man sends the light to regulate and reinforce the light and the human electric of the patient. Thus, the light of the patient is restored. Then all of his currents of electric, qi, and blood are readjusted. and only through the spread of the light of the supermind can illnesses be healed from a distance. In summary, the genuine heart is able to cure some diseases in the flesh body. The genuine mind, the purest mind, can heal the illnesses of the heart, such as silliness, foolishness, caused by the disturbance in feelings. The supermind can cure mental illnesses, confusion of feelings and thoughts that leads to the disorder in the functions of the mind or to the deficiency of the functioning capabilities. Pains in the body, silliness of the heart, craziness and mental imbalance or insanity all can be healed by the reinforcement and regularization of the light, which eliminates the cause of the illness. To transmit one's inner powers into the body of a patient, one must have the inner energies. He has to know where the energies gather in the brain, comprehend the source of inner energies, how to acquire and maintain them, and where these energies diffuse. The inner energies diffuse and spread from the head, but also transmute ascendantly from the head, whereas they transmute descendantly in the body at the sexual organ. One must also distinguish each kind of ideas, whether it comes from his vulgar mind, the genuine mind, supermind, or supernatural character. The functions of the mind. All parts and organs in man's body that are related to the animations of the four sacred substances must undergo the two-way transmutations in order to evolve, and so does the mind. The mind gets many functions which are almost incomprehensible even to man himself. Each function has its own capability. It develops from low to high levels. If those functions reach a high level, but man is not aware of their values and capabilities, or if he does not use and maintain them, certainly the capabilities will gradually diminish. The development of the functions of the mind differs among individuals depending on the individual's environment, method of education, occupation, and material life, sentimental, moral, or intellectual life, or spiritual life. The material life develops the functions of the mind. The sentimental, moral, and intellectual life paves the way to the evolution of the supermind, and the spiritual life brings the supermind into existence. The diversity in the ways of living leads to different uses of the distinct functions of the mind. Some occupations require the employment of the observing mind only. Most need the memory of the mind, or the remembering mind, or the thinking function. Some occupations mobilize 2 or 3 functions into work. The mind has 4 functions developing in the following order: observing, remembering, thinking, and intelligence. In other words, there are the observing mind, the remembering mind, the thinking mind, and the intelligence mind. Without the observing mind at the beginning, the other functions could not be constituted. The observing mind originates from the remembering mind. The remembering mind produces the thinking mind, or in other words, the observing mind and the remembering mind give birth to the thinking mind. The observing mind, the remembering mind, and the thinking mind constitute the intelligence mind. The remembering mind and the thinking mind create the intelligence mind, or the observing mind and the thinking mind form the intelligence mind. That the observing mind produces the other functions means The constituted functions have already animated in latency in the original source. So, the intelligence mind has animated in the thinking mind, the remembering mind, and the observing mind. The thinking mind has always been in the remembering mind and the observing mind, and the remembering mind has animated in the observing mind. The effect of the observation is to receive, perceive, and know. The awareness of information leads to thinking, then man can understand. What can man understand? He understands the cause. Footnote: the cause is not for consideration, discussion, or arguing, which leads to logic or justice, but the cause is an invisible energy animating in transmutations. For example, the interaction of yang and yin generated from magnet and metal transmutes to become electrons, then to magnetic field. The original cause of transmutations in these kinds of yang and yin shows that there is an ascendant transmutation of the three physical phenomena and energies, which are visible, supervisible, and supervisible or invisible. The cause is an invisible energy that animates in all physical phenomena, visible, supervisible, and invisible phenomena. And a footnote: as in the structure of the mind, the newly constituted parts, the new invisible organs, animate in latency in the original one that produces them. The cause animates in the understanding in the knowing, and the knowing in the perceiving and receiving. In brief, the observing mind produces and transmutes ascendantly to the remembering mind, which transmutes ascendantly to the thinking mind, which then transmutes ascendantly to the intelligence mind. From perceiving and receiving comes the knowing, then comes the understanding of the cause, or from the intelligence minds in the thinking mind and the remembering mind and the observing mind comes the cause, which is in understanding, knowing, perceiving, and receiving. The evolution of the functions of the mind starts from the visible aspect, the observing mind, to the supervisible aspect, the remembering mind, and to the supervisible aspect, the thinking mind, the intelligence mind. The mind of an average person develops to its ultimate level, which is the intelligence, which in its turn excites the thinking mind to produce thoughts, with or without mental images. The cause animates in man's mind and engenders the understanding, then from understanding to knowing, then from knowing to realization. Man is superior to all visible creatures, thanks to the functions of the mind, which are able to animate in the three small worlds, invisible, supervisible, and supervisible ones. In man's body, these small worlds are connected with the three corresponding cosmic worlds. Especially, the function of the thinking mind creates countless thoughts, some of which constitute the basis of marvelous civilizations and conducts man to become supermen, super-living beings. On the contrary, some ostentatious persons degrade themselves by assimilating their life's powers as those of ferocious wild beasts like dragons, lions, tigers, bears, eagles, etc. They imitate these animals' instinct and inherent character and put forward symbols of their strength. A. The observing mind. The observing mind is developed from the 5 natural sense organs, all of which are located on the head. The sense of touch is all over the body. Their functions are to perceive and receive external phenomena related to each of the sense organs. When the observing mind is not yet developed, the functions of the sense organs are the sense organ of view, the eyes, to see; the sense organ of hearing, the ears, to hear; the sense organ of smelling, the nose, to breathe; the sense organ of taste, mouth without the use of tongue, to eat and to drink; the sense organ of touch, the skin, to connect with temperature without discernment of the mind yet. Thanks to the concentration of the mind on external phenomena in the perception by the sense organs, the light of the mind increases and constitutes the observing mind. This function augments the capability and evolves itself. Immediately following observation are the perception and the discernment of phenomena. The perceiving capability of the sense organs gradually becomes greater and normally reaches its extreme limit by the age of 32 in men and 28 in women. The capability of the functions increases in the evolution when the observing mind develops. The eyes, from normal sight, it changes to looking towards, gaze, contemplating, considering thoughtfully, distinguishing. In the look, there is attention. In contemplation, there is appreciation and pleasure. In discernment, there is comparison. The ears, from hearing to listening, paying attention in order to distinguish the pitch and intensity of a sound or a noise. The nose, apart from breathing, the observing mind animating in this smelling function can perceive the fragrance, foul smell, or fetid odor. The mouth, eating and drinking cause the evolution of the observing mind in the tongue, which tastes and determines separately the 5 flavors: sour, bitter, sweet, pungent, and salty, or notices many flavors simultaneously in one bite of food or one sip of drink. Skin, perceiving and distinguish heat, coldness, dryness, dampness, warmth, freshness, etc. Among the 5 natural sense organs, the one that provides the most information to the observing mind, including images, shapes, phenomena of astrology, geography, wind, natural features of areas, of various liquids, gaseous mass, people and things, etc., is the eyes. Next are the ears, then the nose, the mouth, and the skin. A congenital blind person is less intelligent than a normal one because the most important function to create the intelligence is the sight. The perception by the functions of the mind of the external images and phenomena through the sense organs include 2 characteristics: objectiveness and subjectiveness. The objective characteristic is in the function of observation, while the subjective characteristic is in the perceptive feelings, discernment, or the bodily feelings, emotions of the heart, etc., generated from the external images and phenomena. The evolution of the observing mind does not confine itself to external observation through the sense organs. It continues to direct in the opposite way to the inner fluctuations and animations right within the body, the heart, and the mind. That means the external observation by the mind evolves and performs in a new function to explore the supernatural and supernatural small worlds in one's own body. In other words, the observing mind can take notice of the 2 small worlds, i.e., the heart and the mind. At this level, the observing mind is completely objective. But how can the observing mind perceive and receive the fluctuations and the animations in those small worlds with a genuine cause in objective characteristics? The observing mind is able to keep itself informed of the physiological phenomena, such as the heartbeat, and to distinguish whether they are strong, soft, fast, or slow, and to understand thoroughly its status. It controls the inhalation and exhalation of air in the lungs and in the chi frontal part of the body to perceive different types of chi, pure, polluted, or toxic, that animate in them. Footnote: the chi frontal part of the body is from the neck to the lower part of the belly. The upper part, the forward part of body, from the chest to the abdominal cavity, the diaphragm. The medium part, from the abdominal cavity to the navel. The lower part, from the navel to the lower part of the belly. End of footnote. Also, the observing mind can examine the regularization or variation of the temperature of blood circulating in veins and arteries, or can observe the perceptive feelings and sensations as well as their changes. Moreover, the supernatural phenomena such as fluctuations of feelings, anger, joy, elation, sorrow, fear, or psychological changes can be perceived by the observing mind, not by the sense organs. That it can identify the supernatural phenomena means that the observing mind has the capability to connect with the supernatural world. In which world that the mind conducts itself, the life of the person is also active in that world, with all related invisible organs. The observation by the mind in the supernatural world activates the super sense organs. Resembling the nature of the 5 natural sense organs in the natural world, these super sense organs increase their capabilities and evolve in the function of observation. The speed of perceiving and receiving the supernatural phenomena in feelings and thoughts gradually increases. The speed of the observing mind augments gradually, and the light of the mind increases too. Its life powers rise in parallel with the increase of the speed and the light. The observation turns totally inwards and focuses on the brain only, therefore the light does not diffuse. The observing mind operates completely inside, meaning that it has entered the 3 small worlds, i.e., the natural world of the body, the supernatural world of the heart, and the supernatural world of the mind, or the light of the mind has spread into the 3 small worlds. The evolution of different individuals is not the same, partly because of the difference in the use of the observing mind and the sense organs employed to observe. The observation is more effective than a normal sight when it gets the concentration of the mind, meaning that when a person is watching, contemplating, or distinguishing, the other functions of the mind are improved. Regarding external observation, no other sense can provide more phenomena and pictures than the faculty of seeing. When the observing mind spreads into any world, the other functions of the mind, remembering, thinking, and intelligence, operate in that world too, much as in the duration of time when the observing mind animates in the supernatural small world, it also spreads into the supernatural cosmic world and draws the other functions of the mind to animate in that world too. In that moment, the mind becomes the supermind, and consequently, all related functions of the mind become the functions of the supermind. When the observing mind is operating in the supernatural world, its effect is that the perceiving, receiving, and understanding also operates in that world. So, the observing mind is capable of animating in the three small worlds in man and the three cosmic worlds. To lead the observing mind into each cosmic world, one must first of all conduct the observation into one's corresponding small world. This totally depends on one's intention and will. The observing mind is the starting point. From there, the other functions of the mind are constituted. Also, with the observation by the mind, the perceiving, receiving, and understanding can animate in connection with the other cosmic worlds. The pace of evolution of each individual depends on the use of the observing mind in each small world and each cosmic world. B. The remembering mind. The remembering mind is an invisible organ and also a function that is constituted by the observing mind. This invisible structure records and preserves all that have been perceived and received from external phenomena through the sense organs, and all internal phenomena such as sensations of the body, feelings of the heart, and thoughts generated by the thinking mind. At first, the recording and maintaining of external phenomena lead only to the awareness without psychological and physiological reactions. The external images and phenomena which have been conducted to the mind through the sense organs become the super-visible printed forms and images. These printed forms and images retain their animating characteristics when they are recalled. The concentration by the mind on those mental images increases their animating powers. Also, it is related to the duration of the capability of the remembering mind. Besides, the degree of the psychological and physiological perceptive sensations influences the duration of memory as well. Everybody has the function of remembering, however, the capability of memory differs. Greater duration of memory results from frequent repetitions or recalls in daily activities. Even the people with the least effective memory still do not forget, say, the numbers in mathematical calculations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. By frequent repetition, the remembering mind can keep its capabilities in good condition. The mental capability to retain and recall the past is less effective, not because of old age, but because of lack of practice, lack of repeating performance of the memory. Generally, out of situation and circumstances, old people think and observe more often than remembering. Therefore, the memories of the mind loses numerous facts and unnecessary data. The capability of memory of the present generation seems to surpass that of the past generations. It does not necessarily mean that the memory of the past generations is less effective. Rather, the mental capacity today has been fostered by methods of education, audio and visual, which are improved by focusing on important aims and on what that needs to be remembered, then keeping for later inputs to solve problems in a scientific, effective, and rapid way. That means the capability of memory supplies what that is needed for the mind to think, then summarize, analyze, and resolve the task. All these favorable conditions are engendered by the systematic and orderly recording of facts and data in the memory of the mind. Which sacred substance creates the mental images in the memory, the invisible recording organ? To which extent the observing mind can reach The light of the remembering mind spreads there too, and so do the other functions of the mind, much as when the range of vision of the observing mind stretches out to remote planets and stars at the distance of millions of kilometers. The other functions of the mind, namely remembering, thinking, and intelligence, also extend over there too. The light of the mind in the great extent of the cosmos is the fundamental basis and the source of supply of the energy that prints and records all images perceived and received by the 5 natural sense organs, the super sense organs, and the sacred sense organ. These images are constituted by very tiny units of cosmic electric. If these images are reproduced for many times, they become more prominent and can last for many thousands of years in both the mind's memory and the cosmos via the spread of the light of the mind. This means that both man and the cosmos retain these images. The supervisible images are recorded by the 2 substances, the light and the electric, while the invisible thoughts generated by all causes are kept by the light only. The invisible thought lasts as long as the life's power of the light does, i.e., over 100,000 years. The duration of the memory's power depends on the effects of the function of the sense organ. For example, the effects of the sense of sight are the look, the gaze, contemplation, or look with special recognition, which can preserve the images longer than an inattentive look, because the images have been reproduced for many times by the concentration by the mind, appreciation and comparison, contemplation and distinction in the look. The evolution of the remembering mind does not depend on the long duration of the visible and supervisible images and phenomena in the invisible structure of the memory, but on the speed and the clearness of recording and retrieving of things, matters, and events that were recorded. Thanks to the speed and the clearness of recording and retrieving, the thinking mind can operate rapidly and accurately. The effect of the remembering mind is the knowing, and that of the thinking mind is the understanding. If the knowing is quick and accurate, so is the understanding, because if the retrieval is quick and clear, the interpretation and explanation are also clear and rapid. The function of the memory is to record and keep in mind the visible and mental images as well as the supervisible phenomena, and to retrieve is to vitalize the function of the memory. This animation creates the active power of the memory structure in the supernatural small world in the flesh body, in the heart and the mind of man. Once the invisible structure of memory has begun to operate with the knowing and the understanding, man begins to dream, and then, at a higher degree, he has a supernatural vision, a foresight of supernatural images that will happen or become true in the natural world in the future. These 2 phenomena are the evidence that one has begun to act in his supernatural small world and has entered the supernatural cosmic world with his supernatural organs, of which the remembering mind plays an important role. The dreams and visions prove that the superheart and the supermind of the chi body and the electric body have evolved and started to operate. In dreams and visions, the remembering mind operates by recording things and matters that are perceived and received by the super sense organs, and in a rapturous vision or in a spiritual and emotional ecstasy, the remembering mind also preserves for reproduction whatever that have been perceived in the whole view by the sacred sense organ. So, it is revealed that the remembering mind can operate in the three worlds of the micro and macro cosmoses. In other words, the three kinds of mind, namely the natural, supernatural, and supernatural mind, get one unique memory. One's knowledge, which is constituted by the knowing and the understanding, is provided not only by the natural world, but also by the full supplies of the three worlds into the remembering mind. The recording and the retrieval of the supernatural images in dreams and supernatural visions make the retrieval faster. Studies and research in the supernatural small world in order to discover the supernatural truth, the genuine cause, are necessary to evolve the mind. An effective method to learn about supernatural phenomena when the flesh body is in sleep is dreaming at will. This is the process of learning and activating the functions of the supermind when the flesh body is in the natural suspension of consciousness. It can save or use up completely the wasted time when the mind ceases to operate in sleeping time. Human mind is marvelous and miraculous. When an invisible organ or a function changes and animates in any small world, all other related organs and functions change and operate in that world too. Footnote: the dream happens A. by the supernature which animates within man in awakeness, or B. the dream at will can happen if, before sleep, one conducts his observing mind into the supernatural small world of the heart. This means that the dream is an activity of the chi body or the electric body when the flesh body is sleeping or in the natural suspension of awareness. And a footnote. Usually one can do physical exercises to train the capabilities of the visible functions. Many methods can strengthen one's muscles, tendons, and bones. Similarly, there is a large number of methods and processes to increase the capabilities of the invisible functions of the mind, the supermind, and the supermind. In other words, man has sufficient power to grow the capabilities of the observation, the thinking, and the intelligence of the mind, the supermind, and the supermind. However, in practice, any retrieval that contains psychological troubles will block the progress of the capabilities of the functions of the mind. The thinking mind. The thinking mind is a complex structure, an invisible organ that is formed by the observing mind and the remembering mind. It gets operated completely by the light. This is an ascendant transmutation of human electric to the light through the function of the remembering mind. The light also animates in the remembering mind and the observing mind, and concurrently the light covers these two functions. When thinking is functioning, only the light animates, while the other substance of liquid, chi, and electric function automatically without fluctuating. Therefore, when the thinking mind is operating, there is no intervention by the heart, i.e., at the moment there is no sensation and no feeling. It is easily mistaken between recall, retrieval, and thinking. When the thinking mind operates, the light animates. This activity belongs to the invisible small world or the supernatural small world of the flesh body. That means thinking is the animation of the light in the supernatural world of man in the brain. The objects of the thinking of the mind come from two sources. 1. All images, phenomena, and facts of the natural world that are directly perceived by the sense organs and received as the sensations of the flesh body. 2. The recorded images, phenomena, and events kept in the memory, including those experienced by the chi body and the electric body through the super sense organs in dreams and visions. In short, all that are related to any kind of sense organs, the 5 natural sense organs, the super sense organs, the sacred sense organ, that are kept in the memory of the mind, are the supplying source of objects for the thinking mind. The effect of thinking is the understanding. In other words, understanding is to formulate thoughts in the mind. This is an effective thinking which can comprehend the animations of all that one is aware of. However, knowing is only the direct perception of the external shapes, forms, and matters relating to the outer realization and external features. With knowing, one has not yet known or understood thoroughly the rules, the elements, and the cause that animate inside them. The cause generates many original elements, at least 2 or 3 or more. Each element or factor gets its own law. Finally, the realization is the animating combination of the cause, the original elements, and their laws. In order to understand thoroughly, one must comprehend the cause. Everyone can perceive the life with their 5 natural sense organs, yet he does not know about the law of the yang and the yin, of qi and blood, about the sacred elements that constitute the animation of the life. Without knowing the laws and the elements, how can one know the original cause which created man? The process of the original cause in the formation happens as follows. From the original cause comes the elements, then come the laws, and then the existence. Below are the different levels of understanding from top down. 1. Comprehending the cause. Comprehending the cause is to know its elements and its law. Next, 2. Knowing the elements and the laws. And lastly, 3. Knowing the laws only. However, usually man is aware of the external appearance only. So, what benefits does the understanding have for the evolution and the life? The original cause animates in the light, or the light contains all causes. The light, the life, is the original substance of all creations and creatures in the macro and microcosmoses. The function of thinking puts the most sacred substance, the light, into animation, from which a series of related virtues are created, such as patience, resolve, clairvoyance, calmness, prudence, etc., in both words and deeds. Without efforts, man conducts his life in an unsophisticated way, free from the influence of individual sensations and feelings. Also, thinking is applying the life's power of the light in the supernatural world. To direct the light to penetrate into the profound inner side is to discover the original cause. But going from the original cause to the realization is the creation. Thanks to the function of thinking, man's life can enter the supernatural world in which only virtues animate. These virtues are the activities of the soul. They produce mystic power to foster the soul. Footnote: It is necessary to nourish the flesh body with foods and drinks and develop the muscles by exercising. The heart, the mind, and the 5 viscera must be nourished by desirable feelings such as joyfulness, elation, love. The more the virtues animate, the more powerful the soul becomes, i.e. the heart, the mind, the brain, and the nervous system. End of footnote. Through thinking, one's virtue can generate. Through thinking, one virtue can generate others, transmuting from the limited natural world into the supernatural world, and the supernatural world is an evolution, changing from a limited time's power of the flesh body to the life of the thinking mind is also an evolution, a great process of change. From the observing mind, the remembering mind is produced, and from the observation and the memory of the mind, the thinking mind is constituted. However, the thinking includes and influences the two precedent functions. When the thinking mind operates, it draws on the observing mind and the remembering mind. That means the more one thinks, the more quickly one can recall and the more accurately one can observe. In physical terms, thinking is an effect of the yang and the yin of the light in the brain. With the effect of the two sacred and miraculous functions, also the cosmic energy, thoughts are produced. The product of the descendant transmutation of the yang and the yin of the light is electric. In other words, the substance of thoughts is electric energy, the mystic power that is generated by the cosmic energy, the light. Once the thought is created, it cannot be destroyed at that moment, even by man himself. Thoughts and virtues are the supernatural powers, the mystic powers, of electric, created by the thinking mind through the effect of the yang and the yin of the light. In other words, the thinking mind creates the supernatural powers, which are thoughts and virtues, through the impact of the yang and the yin of the light onto the thinking mind. In physiological terms, the thinking mind of genuine ideologists, Tao's men, Tao's practitioners, acts intensely. Thus, the light in their brain increases, and they become wiser, more clever, and more clear-sighted. The greater the light is, the more human electric grows due to abundant animation of thoughts and virtues. Thanks to the reserved source of powers, qi and blood are maintained in good circulation, so the flesh body can eliminate pathogens and other disease-causing agents, and thus these people enjoy great longevity. Footnote: on the contrary, if for some reason they feel unsatisfied or deeply resentful, the thought instantly creates an unhappy state. This is the strong agitation of human electric, which causes disorder in the function of thinking of the mind. The strong agitation of human electric casts a direct impact to the brain and the nervous system, bringing about the loss of functions, disorder in feelings, paralysis of body, or, more seriously, instant death. And a footnote. The more one thinks, the longer life one enjoys. The observation and the thinking of the mind become more accurate. Hearing is sharp and quick, the eyes are bright and sparkling, the body's actions are vigorous. Conversely, if the thoughts contain recalled troubles, distresses, sorrows, etc., one's lifespan is shortened. To put it more clearly, the purest thinking originated by virtues and immaculate thoughts makes the heart and the soul merry and joyful. This state shows the increase in human electric, and thus the flesh body feels light and at ease. The flesh body at that time still gets sensations, but these are the inner and preferable sensations caused by merriment and high spirits. These thoughts prolong the life of the flesh body. When man uses his thinking mind to turn his activities into the supernatural world, these activities will be more valuable and greater in terms of knowledge and more perfect, because the supernatural world includes the two other natural and supernatural worlds. All that are contained in the three worlds always exist and animate in the thinking mind. In other words, The thinking mind contains the remembering mind and the observing mind, and concurrently it animates latently in them. The supernatural world contains and concurrently animates within the two other natural and supernatural worlds. The understanding contains and also animates in latency in the knowing, the perceptions, and the sensory perceptions. Thoughts animate in latency in feelings and sensations and simultaneously contain them. Man's mind is very marvelous. All of its functions support and complement each other. When a thought is created by the thinking mind, even if it is not yet realized, it is already recorded and kept in the mind's memory. The created thoughts are maintained intact in the mind's memory and will sometime later be put into use for creation. The cosmic laws are the descendants and ascendant transmutations which endlessly evolve the cosmos itself. The cosmic evolution happens in a non-stop creation and renewal, much as the renovation of day, month, year, season, temperature. Identically, in man, without the creation of thoughts, the amelioration and evolution could not take place. All these result from the thinking mind. The effect of thinking is understanding. Then, the understanding can penetrate into the original cause from which all creations will be perfect. Creating is to evolve. In the presence of creation and renovation, man's life will not be tedious, wearisome, or boring. The perfect creation is needed to understand thoroughly the original cause. If man knows only the original elements and the laws, his creation is still imperfect, and his realization is still subject to deficiencies. Thus, thinking about all that belong to the supernatural world, man can know the original cause, and his creation will reach perfection. The utmostly perfect evolution of man is equal to the perfect evolution of the cosmos. This evolution proceeds in renovation without defect, with the life's power animating and renewing endlessly in the light, the life of the mind. D. The intelligence mind. The intelligence mind is constituted by the thinking mind, the remembering mind, and the observing mind. It is an invisible organ. It gathers all that the other three functions perceive and receive through the body and the heart. That means it collects all that are provided by the natural and supernatural worlds, and all that are created by the thinking mind, also fueled by the natural and supernatural worlds. In other words, the intelligence mind receives and contains the knowing and the understanding related to the three worlds in man and in the cosmos. Knowing the source of all activities is to comprehend the cause that animates in them. So, the intelligence mind contains all functions, the capabilities of the functions, the effects, the original cause, the original elements, the laws, the virtues, the movement of the fate, etc., all that belong to the three worlds in man and in the cosmos. The intelligence mind is invisible, but it gets the capability to be both latent in and inclusive of both small and great cosmoses. It contains all effects of the functions, the capabilities of the invisible organs in man, the knowing, the understanding, and the cause. It directs all powers and energy, commands all activities in the small cosmos, and includes all virtues and life's fate. Also, it can unite the two cosmoses with its light. What is the knowing? In the knowing, there are sensory perceptions and direct consciousness. The heart and the mind exist wherever the capabilities of the functions spread. The heart perceives and has impressions and feelings, hence the emotional effect of the heart. Footnote: the emotional effect of the heart, which derives from the excitement of the five viscera, one single viscous or many viscera at the same time, and the nervous system related to the brain, produces the state of the heart. The heart is connected with the nervous system and the brain, but the emotional effect of the heart is the excitement of the five viscera, the nervous system, and the brain. End of footnote. The heart perceives, but the mind in the brain is aware of the sensory perceptions which are received by the nervous system and the five viscera. Due to the emotional effect of the heart, its electric waves diffuse to the full extent of the heart, i.e., the electric waves of the heart spread widely all over the heart's extent. If man gets rid of the emotions and feelings, then only the pure knowing by the heart of these sentiments remains. The heart can feel the perceptive awareness, but the mind can identify it, and the intelligence mind contains this pure awareness. This pure awareness is identical between man and the cosmos. It gets animated by the light and becomes an animating function in the intelligence mind and an invisible energy that moves in the original cause that exists in the intelligence mind. Because of the identical animation of the light in man and in the cosmos, if there is any phenomenon in the cosmos, the intelligence mind gets them too, and it knows via the identical characteristic of the pure awareness. The intelligence mind contains the knowing, the understanding, and the cause of not only the natural world, but also those of the two other supernatural and super-supernatural worlds, provided by the superheart, the supermind, the super-supermind, and the cosmic character in man's body. 1. The mind's intelligence. The intelligence mind contains the knowing, the understanding, and the cause, which are supplied by the natural world through the five sense organs. 2. The intelligence mind contains the knowing, the understanding, and the cause that are provided by the supernatural world through the super sense organs. 3. The intelligence mind contains the knowing, the understanding, and the cause of the supernatural world through the sacred sense organ. The intelligence mind is marvelous and miraculous. Living with only pure knowing and understanding, man rises above all other creatures on the earth and becomes transcendent, and he already enjoys a transcendent emancipation. Living with the mind and the two functions, or energizing with the electric and the light in the brain by the two functions of knowing and understanding, man lives with transcendent emancipation, loveliness, and peace in all activities. The intelligence mind contains the cause too. So, what is the cause? The cause is the original cause containing all factors, elements, and laws that are used to create and realize. It is also the animation of an invisible power in the natural, supernatural, and super-supernatural phenomena. This invisible power exerts influence on other natural and supernatural powers to cause the transmutations. The effect and the command of these powers are obtained by the intelligence mind. In other words, the intelligence mind directs the activities of all powers and energy in man's body. It can conduct the refined power, the chi power, superpower, the human electric power, or mystic power, and the light, the cosmic energy in man's body, and can command the catalyzing capability to transmute the sacred substances either ascendantly or descendantly. Moreover, the intelligence mind can direct the body movements and regulates the heartbeats. It can last the breaths longer and make the mystic power follow a certain course in order to transform the old state of an aged person into a young one. For example, if the flesh body is exhausted while the skin remains ruddy and without wrinkles, it is because one's heart tamhon is exhausted. Footnote: the heart tamhon is the combined animation of the heart and the mind that connects with external sceneries of the natural world through the 5 natural sense organs, creating the activities of the heart tamhon. But the soul, linh-hồn, is constituted by the heart and the mind that connects with the supernatural world through the sense organs. For example, a vision in one's sleep is an activity of the soul without the connection to the normal heart tamhon, because the 5 natural sense organs stop acting then, and only the super sense organs are operating with the heart and the mind. Similarly, to a dead person, his activities are performed by the soul, not by the normal heart tamhon. End of footnote. The heart is exhausted by worry, anger, fear, and deep distress. This exhaustion results from the fluctuations of strong feelings. This abnormal state influences the thinking mind, which in its turn worsens the exhaustion. The state is caused by the great agitation of human electric waves. The fluctuation of human electric brings about strong fluctuations of qi and blood. Given the relativity in the speeds of related substances, it creates time relativity, making cells older than usual. On the contrary, if the animation and circulation of human electric are kept in good and stable states, qi and blood are reinforced. Thus, the cells are transformed anew and return to their early period of development. Thus, the flesh body becomes younger. If the heart tamhon is exhausted, the soul is depleted of its energies too, and the inner exhaustion and depletion exert influence on the outer look. Therefore, to come back to one's youth from an old age or from an exhausted state of cells, one must clean his soul, then purify it. When the soul is clean and pure, the heart tamhon is free from troubles and distresses of this vulgar world. When the heart tamhon is emancipated from all distresses and sufferings, the flesh body will restore its vigor, like that of children, but all activities are performed by the super character and the intelligence mind. All of these are carried out by the intelligence mind. It also contains virtues or wickedness, evilness, which result from the distinct qualities of thoughts, such as goodness, kindness, or cruelty, evilness. It means that one's intelligence mind contains his fate. In other words, while one's fate seems beyond one's control, such as fortunes, misfortunes, good lucks or bad lucks, its root causes are in fact determined by one's own virtues or wickedness, evilness. Those root causes and fates are constituted by and already contained in the light of the intelligence mind.